And we're back, folks, right here in WrestleRant. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and right here in WrestleRant, I review all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. So I botched in my previous video. At the end of the video, I said today we're talking about Hell in a Cell 2015, which we will review in a couple days, a little bit sooner than expected, like during the course of the week as opposed to on Saturday. Like, so in a few more days, as opposed to on Tuesday or whatever. In a few days, I will put up the video with my review of Hell in a Cell 2015 a little bit earlier than usual, or tomorrow on Sunday or whatever. So anyway, I completely forgot because 2 years ago I talked about every other installment in Hell in a Cell history, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013, completely forgetting that last year I forgot to review the 2014 show. So I figured we would take the time to talk about it today, and on tomorrow, Monday, or whenever the video goes up, I will review Hell in a Cell 2015, the most recent installment until Hell in a Cell 2016, in a few more weeks. So that being said, opening the show, a 2 out of 3 count falls match for the Intercontinental Championship. Dolph Ziggler defending the gold against Cesaro in a really, really well-wrestled match. So the build of the match was kind of pretty bland. Ziggler lost to Cesaro on Raw in that title match. Ziggler successfully defended the title on SmackDown against Cesaro, leading to a 2 out of 3 count falls match on the pay-per-view. I think at this point, Cesaro had some heat with officials. I mean, this is long after his push was cut short, coming out of WrestleMania 30. But I guess only a couple days earlier, the whole speculation, the whole conspiracy, was that Cesaro said in an interview, I think on the eve of Hell in a Cell, or that Friday or whatever, that the same comment that Ziggler made many years earlier, that Orton and Cena had like a million matches against each other. He really didn't care about their match in this pay-per-view, which reportedly led to some heat on Cesaro, even more heat on Cesaro than there already was, pretty much, leading to why, or hence why he lost 2 straight falls to Ziggler on this show, which is something we don't ordinarily see in WWE. Very, more often than not, we see one fall, another fall, and then the tiebreaker fall. Very rarely does someone go 2-0 against someone, and we saw that just here with Ziggler and Cesaro. Still a good match, and nevertheless, it should have gone a lot longer than it did. It only went about 12 minutes. It could have gone at least another 8 minutes at the at the least. But still, for what this was, a fun match to kick off the show. And Ziggler was a good IC champion. I thought he was really good in that role to kind of bring prestige and honor back to the Intercontinental Championship. But they had him drop the belt to Luke Harper before he could do that. So the championship was kind of playing hot potato for quite a bit of time in the latter half of 2014 going into 2015. After that, we had our first of 2 women's matches on the show. Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella, with the loser becoming the winner's assistant. And this, the weird thing is that the match was actually good. Especially for that time period where the matches were like short, no one gave a shit for the women's matches, unfortunately, despite having great workers. More often than not, to have a good match, a really good Divas match at that point in time was like a breakthrough. Like, it was very rare to come across at that point in time in WWE. We're only talking 2 years ago here, which is night and day compared to 2 years later. But still, for what it was actually a pretty good match. I don't know if it had anything to do with the fact that they were sisters, and obviously they know each other. They had that chemistry, obviously. Just because the story sucked. The story was awful. If you remember, that whole fall of 2013, or 14 rather, was just fucking atrocious. With the segments these two had, with the whole I hope he died in the womb shit, and all this other garbage, the Jerry Springer stuff they did on Raw leading up to this matchup, was just not good at all. So I was glad the matchup delivered. Nikki Bella won clean, which was surprising, to force Brie Bella. And they made Brie Bella look pretty strong in defeat. She kicked out of not 1 but 2, or rather, it took not 1 but 2 rack attacks to put her down for the count. So they made Brie Bella look good in defeat here. Nikki Bella won. That would thus force Brie Bella to become the assistant to Nikki Bella for the next 30 days. But that whole storyline was abolished. I mean, she was a servant for 30 days, but then Brie Bella would turn heel and join Nikki at Survivor Series, and it was never explained why she did that. So it really didn't matter, I guess, in the end. After that, for the WWE Tag Team titles, Gold and Stardust successfully defended the gold against the Usos in a pretty good match. I'd have to watch back the Night of Champions match. I just watched it, like, obviously a few weeks ago, and I reviewed it here for the channel. Or no, I didn't. I talked about the 2015 show, not the 2014 installment. I reviewed that. Or maybe I didn't. I don't even know. Whatever. But anyway, I thought the match in Night of Champions was good. I thought this match might have been even better. I never really had any doubt that Gold and Stardust were losing the championships. They pretty much knew that they were winning here, that they're going to be retaining the titles. They just won the titles. There was really no reason to take the championships off them that soon. But still, for what it was, a good match. Gold and Stardust retain, as they can only really produce. Gold and Stardust and the Usos, 2 very good teams, having good matches in the latter half of 2014. After that, our first of 2 Hell in a Cell matches on the show, this one involving John Cena and Randy Orton, with the winner becoming the #1 contender to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the absence of the then champion Brock Lesnar. And you hear that, Cena, Orton, ugh. Well, I mean, for one thing, at the time, it was a big deal as to whether what match would close the show, Cena and Orton or Rollins and Ambrose. And it was a big deal that Rollins and Ambrose got to close the show. I know it didn't have anything at stake, but it didn't need to. That feud had been going on for months and months and months. And I know they played the whole history card of Cena and Orton, and they had history dating back to fucking 2002, whatever. But how many times have we heard that? They feuded in 07. They feuded in 08, 09, 2013. So to get another pay-per-view match was ridiculous. And Cena won more often than not on pay-per-view against Orton. But still, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. Actually, really, a lot, actually. I thought this match was a really good match. Cena and Orton really brought the best out of each other here. I thought the Hell in a Cell match they had 5 years earlier was also quite good. It was a guilty pleasure of mine. I thought this match was also just as good, if not better. I mean, it kind of depends on who you are. More often than not, I don't like repeated finishers. It took 3 fucking AAs to put down Randy Orton. The last one being through a table, and Orton hit 2 beautiful RKOs. One after a shoulder block. You know, when Cena's going for the proverbial 5 moves of doom, he's going for the shoulder blocks. It might have been on the 3rd shoulder block. Out of nowhere, Orton hits his amazing-looking RKO, hits another RKO out of an attitude adjustment, which he did a couple years earlier. It didn't come off quite as well. I think in 2010 he tried on an episode of Raw. But still, 2 great RKOs that did not get him the victory. It was 3 AAs from Cena that put Orton down for the 3 count and advanced him to a WWE World Heavyweight Championship matchup. So again, I mean, they didn't really make great use of the cell. I think they might have beat each other up with a couple Singapore canes or something. That might have been the main event I'm thinking of. They did put each other through tables, which was good. But still, I thought it was a really entertaining match. Probably one of, if not the match of the night. So really good stuff from Cena and Orton. A lot better than you would expect, considering their kind of sad history of not having great matches against one another. But this was pretty good. Sheamus and Miz up next to the United States Championship. Sheamus beating Miz to retain the belt. A pretty dud of a match. The only thing newsworthy, the only thing worth seeking out about this match is Mizdo's antics at ringside that really won him over. He was already entertaining by this point, but I really thought this was the night that Mizdow broke out on his own. I think, you know what, never mind. I feel like he really broke out as what he was doing as in mimicking Miz. I think he started doing that a few weeks earlier for whatever reason on the show that Rock returned at, that Raw in Brooklyn at the start of the month of October on Raw. I might be mistaken, but I think that's where it started. But still, he did it here. People loved it. The match, I couldn't give 2 shits about, but Mizdow at ringside I thought was great. After that, Rusev taking on Big Show in a match that you can only expect really how it went. I thought it was all right. I think people really wanted to see, not Big Show win, but more so just Rusev lose. He had a lot of heat at that point in time, and they were really building him up very well. At the same time, teasing tension between Mark Henry and Big Show. Rusev would take out Mark Henry ringside before taking out Big Show and forcing him to tap out clean, which was good. So a nice, clean victory for Rusev over Big Show, which was a big goddamn deal. And then they would have Mark Henry turn on Big Show the next night and did their feud for the 5th time, whatever. But anyway, for what this was, I thought it was all right, and it led to a good win for Rusev. After that, for the Divas Championship, AJ Lee taking on Paige for the belt. In a good match, but I just really felt like out of all the matches these 2 girls had at Battleground, on Raw, at SummerSlam, they never really got that much time. They'd get 5-6 minutes, and they were all really underwhelming. I mean, for any 2 other women, I'd say they were good. But you got 2 of the best women's wrestlers in the last 5 to 10 years, and they're just having all-right matches. Like, I really expected, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that thought that these 2 women would have great matches, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, some barn-burner bouts, but that's not really what they did. I mean, they had some decent matches, but none of them were really all that good, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise the feud ended here. AJ Lee forcing Paige to submit, and with the Black Widow to retain the title, and that was the end of the feud, thankfully, and AJ moved on to feud with Nikki Bella at Survivor Series. In the main event, our second Hell in a Cell match of the night, Seth Rollins taking on Dean Ambrose in a culmination of a near 4/5, I would say 5 month. This was the end of October. The feud started at the start of June, so nearly a 5-month feud. And I was so glad I got the main event slot. These 2 guys deserved it. It wasn't a great technical wrestling match as much as the SummerSlam match was. I enjoyed the SummerSlam match more, but I also thought this was very good. Just that they did things that we hadn't seen in years. 1, starting out the match on top of the cell. 2, falling off the cell. Not off the top like Shane did, but off the side of the cell, and crashing through 2 commentary tables. They brought out Singapore canes, they brought out tables, chairs, all this other stuff, which was perfect for the feud, perfectly fitting for this feud, just because Ambrose and Rollins, tried so hard to put each other through, no pun intended, hell for months on end. So for it to culminate inside Hell in the Cell and really making the most of that steel structure, that was great. Obviously no blood. It would have been cool if we got some blood, but we wouldn't get that until the following year with Brock Lesnar and Taker, which I'll talk about in my subsequent WrestleRant video tomorrow, I believe is when it's going up. But yeah, really good match. I love the finish with Ambrose, or at least this part of the finish. Ambrose trying to go for a repeat performance on what Rollins did to him many months earlier and performing a curb stomp on Rollins through the cinder block. And before he could, the lights go out, which this was goofy, but the lights go out. You hear just some insensate, some random rambling. You can't really make out what it is. And some, hologram appears in the center of the ring, and out comes Bray Wyatt, who attacks Dean Ambrose through the smoke, lays him out, and allows Seth Rollins to score the victory. So that would lead to a Bray Wyatt-Dean Ambrose feud, which was also a lot, like I said, with AJ and Paige, pretty underwhelming. The matches were all right, but they weren't great, I guess, or as great as I thought they would be. But still, I thought this was a good match, a really good match, actually, that told a great story. Rollins goes 2-0 against Dean Ambrose. Ambrose stays in chase mode in his feud with Rollins to kind of prolong that and keep that feud alive for another day. I thought it was great. Like I said, it's a really good way of closing off the show. I thought it was a nice return for Bray Wyatt, who had not been seen, I think, in about a month and a half, 2 months at that point. He was taken off TV altogether following the feud against, I think, Jericho after that ended, and then he got demolished by Big Show in an episode of Raw, and that was it for the Wyatt family. But Wyatt coming back in full form by himself. So overall, a good show, not a great show. The whole thing is not worth watching in its entirety. But you did have a fun opener with Ziggler beating Cesaro 2 straight falls in a row, which was pretty rare. Nikki Bella and Brie, a much better match than I thought they would have. The tag team title match was fun. Cena and Orton was really, really good. Great match. Sheamus and Miz was throwaway, but the Miz stuff was good. Rusev and Big Show, the match was what you would expect it to be, but the right finish. AJ and Paige was fine for what it was, and the main event was really good. So I think the good outweighed the bad here. There just weren't really a lot of great home run pay-per-views in the final few months of 2014. Just the whole product as a whole at that period in time was not great. But still, I thought it was a decent show that made up for the lackluster Raws at that point in time. So that does it for my review of Hell in a Cell 2014 as seen on the WWE Network. As I said, tomorrow I think it is. At some point in the next few days, my review of Hell in a Cell 2015 will be up here on the channel. I'm doing that just because the original schedule called for just a review 2015, so I had to kind of smush one of the reviews in there over the course of a weekend, so we will be back on track to what I have planned from this point forward. So after the Hell in a Cell review tomorrow, I will be reviewing the Armageddon pay-per-views in the weeks that follow, as seen, of course, on the WWE Network. So that being said, guys, as always, I appreciate your support. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll catch you back here tomorrow, I believe. Again, don't take my word for that, but I'm pretty sure as I record this, it will be tomorrow that my review of Hell in a Cell 2015 will be up. And until then, guys, have a great rest of your day. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch you fine folks down the road.